Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge. Welcome to Eldridge & Company. Last week we talked about the Raise the Age policy and how increasing the age of criminal responsibility to 18 years changed New York's juvenile justice system. Now interest expands to the implementation and effectiveness of those changes. My guests are Brett Stout, professor of psychology at CUNY Graduate Center, Kadiata Kaba, a student at Lehman College, Dale Ventura, the supervising attorney of Youth Represent, and Raymond Ortega, research assistant at the Youth Justice Research Collaborative. And welcome to all of you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So Brett, we didn't, last week we said we were going to talk about the collaborative.
Yeah.
So maybe you just, a sentence, bring us up to date.
Up to date.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Youth Justice Research Collaborative is all of us and many more folks. And it's a collaboration between the Public Science Project at the Graduate Center and Children's Defense Fund and Youth Represent. And it's about evaluating the Raise the Age policy, which is, as you said, a pretty big deal. The criminal justice system is, a particularly brutal place, particularly for communities of color and young people of color. And Raise the Age is an incremental move to make the system less brutal. It's a low bar, but make it less brutal by raising the age of 16 and 17-year-olds and who we hold accountable as adults in the system.
So now, the collaborative.
Yes. The collaborative, so what's unique about us, there's several things that are unique about us, and I think we're all really proud of the work, but when big policies like Raise the Age are implemented, it's rare, usually it just unfolds without a lot of accountability for how it unfolds, if it's unfolding the way it needs to unfold, and if there are unintended consequences for its implementation. These are huge policies with lots of moving parts. There's a new youth part, there's a new status of adolescent offender. There's all sorts of things that you can only think so far, and there's lots of moving parts. So what makes this collaborative really great is that we're going to spend 2 or more years looking at all of the stakeholders, all of those moving parts, and how and basically holding our government accountable for what they say they're going to do. And the type of work this is, why we call it a collaborative, is that it's not like traditional evaluation research. It's not me as a professor basically just doing the work and then coming back and speaking to academics. What this is essentially being led by a larger movement in New York City and the state. And our group is designed to bring together a lot of different expertise, people who are experts in policy, people who are experts in the law, researchers, young people, students, organizers, putting us all in the room from start to beginning in the research process, so that all of, it's basically expanding expertise and knowledge production, so that all of the brilliance on this panel and elsewhere in our collaborative are put into designing, the instrument that we use to court watch, or the surveys or the interviews, and then the analysis and the products. So what that specifically looks like for us right now is several pieces. The biggest piece, at least so far, the last since July, has been court watching. The thing about public data is that it kind of is a skeleton. It can give you trends about who's moving from the youth part to family, who's getting transferred. But there are so many things that go on. For anyone who hasn't sat in on court and maybe just saw it on Law and Order or something, they're really missing out on the full picture, because sitting in court, we're observing not just those trends that we can get in public data, but also we're able to see who walks in shackles. We're able to see that over 60% of the family and youth part sort of start to end time period, over 60% of those cases end in under 10 minutes. We're able to see the kind of things that they talk about If someone isn't transferred, we're able to understand the arguments about around what are called extraordinary circumstances. So we're able to fill in, kind of put flesh on the bone in a way that otherwise we wouldn't able to, to get at. So that's one of the big methods. And Ray and Kadiata, yeah.
And once the law is passed, it always can be amended or changed. And
exactly.
Hopefully they're going to take your research, right?
That's the idea, and that's the importance of this work in that
you have advocates in the legislature.
We have advocates in the legislature. We have advocates in. That's why we build a coalition or a collaborative like this and are connected to a coalition, so that it's not about a discourse necessarily only with other academics, but it's how do we feed what we see not only in the courtrooms, but with public defender surveys and interviews with young people directly affected. How do we feed that right into pushing the governor and other policymakers to move in a different direction?
Right. So what is it going? What do you do?
I'm a research assistant, and I do observation in the Bronx.
In the court?
Yeah, in the Bronx Criminal Court.
Uh-huh. And how many days do you do it?
3 to 4.
And how many hours are you there?
From 10 to 3-ish.
Is that when they start usually?
They're supposed to start at 9, but they don't start at 9 at all, so I go in at 10.
And what happens when people come, if a kid is not in custody and comes in with his family?
They have to check in, and then they just wait for their lawyer.
They just wait to get called?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what do you think? How do you feel when you go into a court room?
Going to court is equally intense, but also inspiring, because I have experience in community organizing. So I was a community organizer, intern, and youth organizer at both Make the Road and Bronx Defenders. So that space is kind of
two pretty good groups.
Yeah, but it's kind of different because those organizations, like, we're directly at the forefront of tackling issues that are affecting Black and brown communities. So it's like I'm around people who look like me, people who talk like me, people who understand me. So when I go to court, it's like different because I'm around judges, lawyers, So it's intense only because I feel like my appearance plays a role in how people treat you or how people look at you. And also I'm not a lawyer. So learning, that's why I said the work that we do is intense, because learning how the whole juvenile justice system works. Shout out to Julia. She had this whole map drawn out showing us, okay, so this is what happens in youth part, this is what happens in family court. So that played a major role in helping me understand how things is going. So I've been doing it for it's about to be a year. So I feel, I'm not an expert, but I feel.
And what do you rate? What are you looking at? What are you going to report on?
Okay, so I look at the age, the youth. We're looking mainly at 16-year-olds, but we also look at isn't it 18 and under?
Yeah, I mean, you're there all day, so whoever you kind of see.
Yeah. So we're looking for what's going on in a case, what are the key factors of removal, who's being transferred, who's not being transferred, why, what's extraordinary circumstances. It's a lot of moving parts that play in what I see. But I'm a note taker, so I write down everything. So.
They write down novels. I mean, they're expected to just take, how many court officers are there? What are they saying? And so we have a novel of, sort of.
What are the attitudes of court officers?
Can I be honest?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want to know.
It's a lot of skepticism. It's a lot of pushback. It's when you say, hey, I'm here for observation, who are you? Why are you here? What do you want? And it's just personally had a lot of pushback in gaining entrance to certain courtrooms. And it's just why don't you want to let me in? What are you hiding? What's so hard about observing the courtroom? But I feel like court officers play a major role in how the court is moving and the atmosphere. They set the tone. So some courtrooms, they're very nice, they're very friendly, and other courtrooms, they're not so friendly or very rude. So I would say they play a major role in how the court runs.
And to give you an example from the observations that that we've collected and aggregated, we wanted to notice exactly where the court officers were positioned around the young people, because you can be in the court, but it's something else to be, kind of use your body as a very sort of intimidating. And we found that 70% of all of the observations we made in the youth part, that 70%, the court officers were right behind the young people as they were kind of like talking to the judge. And so it's very intimidating.
I wonder if they have to go through training. I'm not sure,
I mean,
my understanding is that the court officers that were chosen for the youth parts in particular are known to have a more youth-centered approach, and they definitely get training on that. How effective is it? I mean, it's, at the end of the day, it's adult criminal court, and that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an institution.
Tell me what you, do you train people, or do you take cases and assign them, and do you do cases yourself?
Right. So for Raise the Age specifically, prior to Raise the Age, I was a public defender. I was a public defender at the Legal Aid Society, so I did most of my practice in Brooklyn. Now I'm at Youth Represent. I'm doing more supervision and oversight. For the Raise the Age project, I have the opportunity to work with these great young people. They're not all here. We have a large group of folks, and I have to say I am very impressed every day, each time we work with you all. And I have to say, as a lawyer, the Raise the Age law is not an easy law to follow. It's like a web. And I have to give a shout to Max, who's done a great job in training these folks.
Yeah.
And he's done an amazing job in really getting this very convoluted law.
And where does he come from?
He is a legal fellow at Youth Represent.
part of our collaborative. And
Yes. Yeah, and I have to say though, as attorneys it's hard to follow, but these young people pick it up like this. They understand the nuances, they understand the complexity, and they also ask questions that show you that they get it. And we're really, with the ethnographic study, Brett has mentioned, we are getting novels because you can see the passion in there. And it's a passion that, you don't normally get to see.
How did you get involved? Who found you, or you found them?
One of my coworkers named Tanisha. She's actually not here right now, but she's also part of the project. I was in an internship called OBT, Opportunities for a Better Tomorrow, and she actually came in and she was a group there telling us about what the project is. And I explained to her that I was actually one of those kids that came from Rikers Island to Horizons in the whole Raise the Age thing. I was one of those kids that experienced everything, like how we got there, what was going on, the big meeting that we had while we was in there. I experienced everything. So off rip, when I told her that, she was like, I need you. She was like, I need you. And I
Stars.
came in, and then I met my fellow coworkers I love so much. Yeah, and ever since I've just been co-watching and mainly Queens Youth part and Queens Family part.
How long were you in Rikers?
I was in Rikers for at least a month and a half before they moved me to Horizons with the rest of the group.
Was it different?
Yes, it was different. Because in Horizons, one, ACS is not having no mace in their building. On Rikers Island, mace is a defense to put the kids down and to have stuff under control. There's none of that in Horizons. Horizons is straight ACS. They do not want their kids getting hurt in any type of way. They actually help with more programs. They get barbershop programs.
It's the Agency for Children's Services.
No, it's in Horizons.
City agency.
It's in the Bronx. Rikers Island, there's none of that. You won't enjoy your time.
You had no personal attention, right? Nothing,
yes.
right?
And just different.
Yeah.
It just feel good to be on this side. I never in a million years thought I would be.
So now, what is your status?
Me, it's just I really love the project only because I know what's going on. I really know everything that's going on. I experienced it myself firsthand. So it's yo, there's people out here that really knows about us. The kids that's in jail, incarcerated, they don't know there's people out here really fighting for them. There's people that knows what they're going through. There's people that's trying to help. And now, I know, so I'm trying to spread the word to my friends and people who's yo, listen, there's people out here that know what's going on. I want you at least come tell your story. This is a lot of stuff that's yo, this is so cool.
It's such an important point that he just made, and for everything, I know I do a lot, or did a lot of work up at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for women, and there's a whole network, but the women know that we're there, and I think it does help. That was very good.
Yes, thank you.
Good. So you're enjoying it.
Yes, I am, like, highly. It's so cool.
And how do you feel when you go into a courtroom and you see these court officers?
One, I am very familiar with the court officers, so they look at me and think I'm about to just sit here and be annoying or something. No. I actually backed out my little badge that says I'm a research assistant now, court watching, and they gave me the most attitude ever. It was like, and then I heard them whispering to the judge, those are the court watchers, they're watching you. So, so it made me feel good, even though I was like, it was not the right thing, but
So
it made
it's
me feel
kind
good.
of powerful that you're looking at the judges, huh?
Yes, it is.
Very good. Does it give you a sense of better than not being being powerless?
Actually gives me a sense of relief because I never thought I would be in this. I never thought I would be in it. And it just feels good to actually experience things that I never thought was even here.
Yeah, so good. So tell me, you're doing a survey of the defenders.
Yes, we're doing a survey. It's the Public Defender Survey.
What does that mean?
So the Public Defender Survey is basically a survey that was created. It was very meticulously created by Mika, and she's not here, and a bunch of other folks who are experts on the work. And our target audience are public defenders who are the experts in the field. They are the ones who have been doing this for a long time. Especially in the youth parts in all 5 boroughs. The public defenders who are stationed out there have been doing these for even years and decades. So they are the ones who are going to have an eye on whether there is actually an impact in their practice. Is there an impact on outcomes? Because they're going to be the ones who are going to be able to tell the difference. So those are our target audience. There's a good amount of them. And so we're hoping that the survey is going to highlight what's been working, what's the difference? When we look at the raise the age legislation, are they following the law? There is a 3-pronged test. Are they applying it? How are they applying it? We have this term extraordinary circumstances.
What does that mean? Nobody knows?
That's a big question.
You know? Have you been able to
No,
observe?
I mean, that's the question that no one knows that hopefully our research will be able to tell.
So when does that come up? Does somebody says, Judge, there are extraordinary circumstances?
Yeah, so usually when there's a transfer hearing, like the prosecutor would say, if it doesn't apply to the 3-prong test, they would say like extraordinary circumstances, and that can look like gang involvement. For example, for like one of the
Can look like what?
gang involvement. That's like one of the cases that I see.
Oh, so it's a prosecutor tool.
Yeah, I mean, if there
It's
is
not a
someone with
it's not
gun,
a defendant tool
right?
saying I came from a home where this and this and that, right?
It's an argument to say they shouldn't be transferred to family,
I see.
that they had a gun, it was a particularly violent sexual assault, and so it's extraordinary circumstances given raise the age, they should stay in the youth part of adult court.
So that is really key, huh?
Yeah, it's basically a catch-all
Yeah.
for a lot of those circumstances.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Now, and you personally, in your own organization, you handle other things other than courtroom appearances.
Yes. A lot of things.
You become an attorney, right?
Yes.
All right. So tell me, do you meet en masse? Have you ever had a mass meeting of the collaborative?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of moving parts. One of them is an advisory group, and our first court watching instrument and our basic research questions began by bringing 50 people from all over New York and various organizations and people directly affected, and basically said, this is what we want to do. What do we need to ask? What are the right questions? And we're going to meet again. And then as a collaborative, we meet every 2 weeks as a group. We're here at the Graduate Center. We're in computer labs. We're analyzing data together. We're reading and thematically analyzing. We're creating new instruments together. I mean, Raymond, I think, illustrated the point of participatory action research, that expertise defined broadly means that someone who directly, was taken from
Right.
Rikers to Horizons is going to be more of an expert about this issue than me.
Definitely.
And we need his expertise infused into the things that we do, so we ask the right questions. And so we have to meet a lot and sort of build that camaraderie. And what that means now for 2020, we've been together a year. 2020, we have a lot going on, including doing really intense, rich ongoing focus groups with young people who have been directly affected or in crossroads, have gone through the system, to really understand what they think, their experiences, inside, their experiences with programs, right? The public defender survey, because there's only certain things you can observe, and there's even fewer things that you can get from public data, and there's so much of the system hidden. So by talking to all, it's like a piece of the puzzle. Everyone has their own perspective, but they also have a piece to the puzzle. And it's our job then over this year to piece it all together and tell a large story. I think some of the story is going to be that this Raise the Age has been fairly successful. Most people are being transferred. I think another part of the story is it was a low bar because this is, as I mentioned, is a particularly brutal system. It's particularly harmful to communities of color. And part of what we're already observing, in the volumes of ethnographic notes is just really unfair, cruel practices. And so there's a lot of advocacy needed, and our work will be put into that effort.
And short-sightedness, right?
Short-sightedness.
Right.
I wanted to add.
Vision, it's so, to be a visionary is a great blessing.
I wanted to add, the public defender survey, and I think, Brett, you really highlighted, there's only so much you can see from when you're observing the courtroom. Because when that attorney and the client and the DA are on the record, what you see is the end result of a lot of conversations that are happening off the record. And a lot of times the public and the research observers are not privy to those conversations. So, I think that's why the public defender survey is so critical, because you're getting information that we can't gain. And so I'll just give you an example. Let's say you're a public defender and you're negotiating with the DA, and the DA is actually sympathetic to your client, right? But the DA is, oftentimes pressured by those above him. And also there's a lot of general policies that different boroughs institute in terms of how they're going to apply Raise the Age. So oftentimes they're going to say, my hands are tied, or there's also opportunity for that DA to be an advocate for your client, to speak to those who are above him, to push for a case, to be removed to family court. And those conversations are constantly happening. And they're happening in the hallways, they're happening at the bridge. And, but if a DA, does come up with a resolution to consent the case to be removed to family court, that's all you're hearing on the record in those less than, I would say, 10 minutes on average. But for the most part, there is a lot going on. And so we're hoping that the public defender survey is going to show that. But also on the flip side is to show also the biases that are happening. Because sure, we have a test, but how are they being applied? Some DAs have certain biases where they don't like certain cases, right? And those biases impact their judgments. Those judgments then impact action, and they then have consequences. And who are going to be experiencing those consequences are our young youth. And so I think it's really important to really have that voice there. And so we're excited to get the survey out.
So when you do your court watching and you see the lawyers go up to the judge, do you mark that?
You can't hear it.
No, but they're having a conference.
Yeah.
You say that.
Something like that.
And then you see the DA went out in the hall.
Every detail down to
Every
how many court
detail.
officers.
If there
Right.
wasn't no heat, no light, we write it down.
Yes.
So not only are you, investigating and doing and pressuring and looking and supervising, but you also are empowering a lot, right?
Yeah, for all of us.
That's a great
For all
thing
of us.
for- yeah.
It's amazing.
Right. So you want to summarize?
So look for the Youth Justice Research Collaborative to put out in sort of a drumbeat a number of results starting in a couple of weeks and then throughout the year that will kind of begin summarizing what we're finding. And then part of our work is to be creative and to put our products in very creative forms. So you'll probably see us do spoken word, maybe some theater, some art. It's going to be a pretty fun year for us.
You're going to have a great press conferences?
We're going to have some press conferences, probably a lot of heated conversations with
Gimmicks.
policymakers. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You always do. Well, I'm so pleased, and I think it's a great project, and I think the form of the participatory stuff is such a great idea, right?
Thank you.
It's basically a good future for democracy. Thank you. I hope you do very well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much, and you too. I didn't ask you, How did you decide to do this?
Well, once I'm very passionate about revolutionizing the criminal justice system. So once I learned that I can be a part of a project like this, and we're doing such amazing work, I joined it.
And Make the Road was a very good school to go to. Yeah. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. So that was it. Was that all right?
Yeah.
Did you like it?